In 2021, in the United States, 1,500 or so books were removed from school libraries and school classroom libraries. In 2022, 2,567 books were removed from school libraries and school classroom libraries. This year, which is slightly more than half over, we have surpassed 3,000 books being removed from school libraries and school classroom libraries. Those are just books removed by title. Those are not books that are removed by content. Whole classes of books are removed by content. Can we back up a little bit? Back in May of last year, I was required by the state to send them by email, reordered by email, to report to them every bit of material I was using in my AP English Language and Composition class. I wrote back that I had been asking for a textbook for 5 years. They still have not given me a textbook, and they could come here and comb through my filing cabinets if they wanted to see what I use. But I wasn't doing it for them. I never heard anything back. A week later, I get an email that I must remove Slaughterhouse-5 and Kite Runner from my shelves immediately. Now, the wording they use is interesting. These books were not banned. They were challenged. But they must be removed. The children shall not have access to these books. They cannot be seen by the children. I cannot use them in any lessons. I don't know about your abilities or experience with the English language, but I bet you all have access to a dictionary. Please look up the word banned when you get home. When an official body removes access to material, wholly or in part or to a certain group, it is a ban. Which is why Brevard County, where I come from, has 68 books that are banned, but really there's only 4. But really there's 68. But really there are over 1,000, because those are only the ones that are listed by title. We'll get to that in a little bit. So I decided that wasn't going to fly with me. And I was going to give out books over the summer. I put up something on GoFundMe to ask for about $500 to buy some copies of Slaughterhouse-5 and Kite Runner. My wife, without whom I could not be doing any of this, nor would I, happened to be away for 2 days, and when she came back, we had a 501c3 and $5,000. And we've been going ever since, the two of us, giving out banned books. I'm sorry, it's not from my lawn. I'm not that foolhardy. I already received death threats and rape threats. I'm called a pedophile, a groomer, a porn pusher, and somehow worse of these, a Jew. One of those is accurate. Let you figure out which one it is. We have created 5 little free banned book libraries so far across the state. 5 inclusive teen safe spaces and banned book reading areas, which we stock all of these, where kids can come and feel safe, sit and read. We go to fairs we go to festivals, we go to events, and we gave out last year 4,971 books at these events. Each kid gets 2 books of their choice. We ask the parents be there up to age 16. 2 free books, whichever books they want. They take them home. They don't need to bring them back. And we keep going and going and going. And why we do this is because you cannot keep taking these books away from the kids. And while I understand this does not fix the problem of having them removed from the schools, at least a child will have the book they need. Where I teach, 140,000 person population. Who wants to guess how many bookstores we have in that town? 0 is correct. 3 libraries, no mass transit. Books are removed from the school. Oh, they can get them from the library, can they? Turns around, Moms for Liberty, you've heard of them. They're now on the library board. What will you do? One was asked. Now that you're on the library board. And her response was, got any matches? This is what we're dealing with. So I cannot fix this problem. We cannot make them change their minds. But the 2 of us, together with some extremely stalwart volunteers, can make sure that we can be as many places as we can get. And at least they'll see the books. They'll have access to the books while we simultaneously work to dismantle the system that is causing this damage. At least for some children, we can forestall the damage of not knowing who you are, not knowing what you are, and not knowing how to fit into this world. Of thinking you are something less than human, less than normal, less than wanted, and less than loved. We tell stories. Humans tell stories. We need stories as much as we need food and shelter. And that quote earlier was by Philip Pullman, the author. Stories are necessary. We tell stories about birth, we tell stories about death, we tell stories about everything in between. It's how I find out how you are and who you are and how we are different but we are the same. And how I find someone who is like me is the same but they are different. It is how we communicate. It is how we learn to be compassionate. Psychological study after psychological study shows us that the more fiction we read, the more compassionate we become. We are now reading much less fiction now that we are in our hyper-capitalist stage and we are just reading instruction booklets, and people are becoming far less compassionate. The less compassionate we are, the easier it is to divide. The easier it is for us to hate each other. We need stories, whether they are written or whether they are told. TV doesn't do it. Movies don't do it. We know this from the studies. Reading and listening builds compassion and understanding. It builds bridges. It's how I knew what this fellow went through in his first experiences. And how I discovered that first experiences for straight people and gay people are pretty much exactly the same. First experiences are first experiences. How alike we really are. And it's not outside reason that the dominant culture is going to have the larger portion of the stories. There's more of them. They write more. That's understandable. What isn't understandable is when the stories that are not written by them, not about them, are systematically removed. Imagine that all of your stories have been systematically removed. You cannot read about yourself. You cannot hear stories about yourself. You cannot pick up a book about who you are. Even worse, you've not seen one. You don't know these exist. There's no bookstores that have them near you. You have no library access. Now imagine further, you are a young person. You are legally obligated to go to a school which has removed every trace of who you are. There are no books about you in the library. There's no books about you in the classroom. Discussion about who you are is now illegal. And now you cannot even be called by your chosen name without a special form. Yet you are obligated to go there. You must come here. You must come here to this place where we will not recognize you as an individual that you are. You must come to this place where we will not recognize you as who you are. And we will teach you to be like the proper people, the people about whom these books are. These stories are okay. You can read these. Be like them. It's okay you're black. You can't help it. It's okay you're Native American. You can't help it. It's okay you think you're gay. You could help it. As long as you realize you could be white. You could be Christian. If you work hard enough and read the proper books and listen to us, you can aspire to be like the proper people, like the founding fathers, who we now must teach were all against slavery. Worse yet, but wait, there's more. Worse yet, the videos that we are now being told we can use in our classes actually has an animated Frederick Douglass saying he supports slavery because the founding fathers needed to put our nation together first, and that was paramount. And so it was a worthwhile compromise. I have an opinion about this, but I'm told you should not curse in a church. If you were one of these people, as a child, how would you feel forced to go to a place where every bit of you has been erased? And we UUs tend to get in our heads a bit. Don't tell me it's not true. How do you feel? How would you feel if you were in such a place? Lost? Alone? Abandoned? Shamed? Probably many of those, if not all of those. And this is what we are doing to our kids. This is what we are doing to our students now. And that is why we are doing what we are doing. Because we can't save the system by ourselves. But we can get out a lot of books to a lot of kids who need them. And before I go through these books, I'll just give you two examples. At one of our distributions, a young person picked up this book. There with their father, mother, and sibling. That kid cried. Didn't know this book existed. It had been removed from the schools. It was in the high schools for a bit. It had been removed. Didn't know this book existed. And again, where I come from, a third of my kids don't even have internet access. And kids don't have money to go on and buy something from Amazon. And how do you search for a book you don't even know exists? Cried. Why are you crying? Because I didn't know there were books about me. Young lady picks up this book, puts it down, picks it up again, puts it down. Another woman walks over, not much older, I don't think, picks up the book and hands it to her and says, "Take this book, it saved my life." Track marks on her arm. That's what these books do. This is what we're taking away from the kids. We have taken the amount of information that we are allowed to give, and it has been brought down, narrowed and narrowed and narrowed and narrowed. Yet we are being told that when we want to increase the breadth of information, teach kids to think critically, give them a wider range of ideas, that is somehow indoctrination. But making the social studies teachers say even Frederick Douglass was okay with slavery. The founding fathers did not believe in slavery. Climate crisis does not exist. Removing all these books, that is not indoctrination, right? Yet teachers are being accused of indoctrination. Let's look at the books that we are indoctrinating the kids with, shall we? These are the top 10. I know you've counted them. There's 13. But these are the top 10 books according to the ALA, American Library Association. The top 10 banned books. Why are there 13? Because there are 3 ties for 9th, 10th, and 8th, 9th, and 10th place. Sorry, 5th, 9th, and 10th place. Top banned book, genderqueer. The top 7 of these books are LGBTQ. 2 of these books are intersectional, person of color, and LGBTQ. The rest of them are all about people of color. Only 2 of these books are not LGBTQ or person of color. Who are they trying to remove? It should be pretty obvious. We'll get to the picture books in a little bit. In Brevard County, 85% of the 68 books being removed are LGBTQ books. 85%. If you add to that books by straight white women and non-binary people, 92% of the books, leaving 8% of the books by cisgender white guys. 8%. Only 8% of the books are by your average white guy. It's pretty obvious, again, who they are trying to remove, who they are trying to teach the lesson, you are not okay. Let's look at some of the top 10 picture books. We are grateful. Solway. Solway doesn't like the color of her skin. It's too dark. Solway is taught by the sun and the moon, the daytime and the nighttime, that both are needed and that she is beautiful. One of the top 10 banned picture books of last year. Anti-white. Fry bread. It's hard to get a book that's nicer than this. It's more beautiful than this. It's all about, fry bread is taste. Fry bread is smell. Fry bread is culture. Fry bread is art. Fry bread is food, flour, salt, water, cornmeal, baking powder. Fry bread is shape. Hands mold the dough, flat like a pancake, round like a ball. Fry bread is sound. Fry bread is color. Fry bread is flavor. Fry bread is time. On weekdays and holidays, supper or dinner time, powwows and festivals, moments together with family and friends. Fry bread is art, sculpture, landscape, portrait, shared from teacher to student, cycle of heritage and fortune. Fry bread is history, the long walk, the stolen land. Uh-oh. Banned. Removed from the shelves. You remember what I said there about them being banned not just by title, but by content. Well, the laws in Florida now, stop woke, stop wronging our kids and employees. You got to wonder how long it took them to come up with that, right? And the parental rights laws tell us that we cannot have a book that might make someone uncomfortable with the past of their gender or their race. Education without discomfort. I know we're all taught you never grow unless you get outside your comfort zone. Oh well. So what can we not use now? 1619 Project, gone. Ta-Nehisi Coates, gone. Born on the Water, gone. Oh, that's not banned. Yes, it is. Can I use it? No. But it's not banned. Can I use it? No. These are the games they play. Banned. One of the top 10 banned books of last year for picture books. Beautiful book. And there's not one of these that I would not suggest that you pick up for your kids. Top banned book of last year for picture books. Come on, we can't be having kids think that you can be both gay and strong. Can we? Banned. The top of the top 10 banned books. One of the top 10 banned picture books, something happened in our town. Notice, white at black. How do you talk to your kids about police violence without making them afraid of the police in general? Well, the answer to that question is this really great book, putting police violence into context, teaching kids how to deal with it, what it means, what's happening. Banned, anti-police. Banned by content. We don't want kids knowing about stuff like this. Unspeakable, the Tulsa Race Massacre. The Poetry of Langston Hughes. What books did I have removed from my shelves when the librarian came into my classroom? You'll never guess, so I won't ask you. The Poetry of Emily Dickinson. Because I could not stop for death, death kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and eternity. Gone. Edna St. Vincent Millay. Gone. They weren't on the approved list. Diary of Anne Frank. Like she hadn't gone through enough. Gone. Now, to be fair, not the normal version has been banned in many places. The version that most of you read was not the whole version. When Otto Frank died, the entirety of her diary was published and then was summarily banned in many places. She discussed the fact that she couldn't decide whether she loved Peter or this young lady. Can't have that. She talked about menses, can't have that. She talked about having fights with a mother. You're closed up under stress in an attic apartment for 2 years. Who are you not going to fight with? This is banned because of those things and a picture of a statue. That's all. You're welcome to come up and take a look at these after I've got the book marked for you. Picture of a statue. We can talk a little bit about verbiage here, about gaslighting, semantics, banned. Yes, I know, not banned everywhere. It was banned in Dade County by a woman who had not read it and said it was written by Oprah Winfrey. Yet, they removed it from the schools. What does it take to get a book banned? And we'll get back to this in a minute. What does it take to get a book banned? I will tell you. Nothing. Some counties will have you fill out a form. Some counties an email will do. There was a gentleman in Duval County who said his mission is to get 3,000 books banned. He fills out a form, he puts the name of the book, the reason for banning, damages children's souls. How does it do this? Sinful content. That's it. Removed from the shelves. He's well on his way to 3,000. One is all it takes to get the book pulled. One kid saying this book may be uncomfortable. That's all it takes to get a book pulled. One person who never read the book and could not identify the author was enough to get this book pulled. Her reason? Hidden hate messages. Mind you, she hadn't read it, this book by Oprah Winfrey. You have a question? My apologies. The Hill We Climb. If you watched the Biden inauguration, you saw Amanda Gorman read this poem. The inaugural poem got banned. What did they do? They removed it from elementary schools and moved it to the middle school. It's not banned. Can an elementary school kid read it? No. Can they have access to it? No. Why? Oh, it's above their Lexile level. Reading difficulty. It's above their reading difficulty. Really? Do you test them? No. Well, what if a middle school kid can't read that well? Are they banned from reading it? Well, no. What if we have a elementary school kid who reads really well and they really want to read a poem by a black poet who read at a presidential inauguration and didn't speak until she was nearly 18? No, they can't. I'm sorry, what do you call that? That's a ban. remove these books, and you're removing the ability of these young people to find out who they are. You don't know what you don't know. Y'all have perused library shelves, have you not? And found something you didn't know about. I don't think there's anyone here who hasn't done that. And that's what kids do in school libraries too. I have found things I didn't know about in a high school library, and I am definitely older than a high schooler. I have found cool things there. They are looking for things to learn, looking for things to find out. And now they have been taken away from them. I want to read you a thing or two, things I have not committed to memory. Got them right here. A good friend of mine, a Harvard professor, Roger Gregoire, as an educator and curriculum specialist, he states, inquiry is the primary function of cognition. Without inquiry, indoctrination replaces learning. Teaching is about raising questions more than delivering answers. If the practice does not raise questions, it fails everything else. What you need in order to ask questions is information. Without information, you don't have the ability to ask questions. We are squashing the art of inquiry and replacing it with indoctrination. They cannot ask questions. A student asks me a question about being a gender preference or race. I can no longer address that. I can no longer suggest the proper books for them to read. All I can say is, ask your parents. And we know very well that many of these kids cannot bring these questions to their parents. I was told by someone that none of this matters, just get back to education. Get back to just the basics of education. They are tired of having to kowtow to a minority and change everything because of minority. So now we have to fill out forms just to call Samantha Sam? Dan can't be called Dan. He must be called Daniel. We've changed everything because that's the only way they can legally torment a small portion of the population. But the books are available elsewhere. It does not matter the books are available elsewhere, outside of the educational system, when a government or other institution reduces access to information and replaces it with only what it wants you to know. That is indoctrination. It reduces the ability to inquire. It reduces the ability to think for oneself. That a book may be available online or at a bookstore 10 miles away is irrelevant. The very removal is the message that you do not belong. At that point, education has ceased, and training and indoctrination has begun. I said that, but I had to write it down because I'd never remember it. This is why we do what we do. Because this is not getting better, it's getting worse. And so we are ramping up. We are opening up the first library dedicated only to banned books. We will have library hours, we will have readings, we will have events. We will also have the top 60 books that we will package and send to anyone who wants to start a little free banned book library. We will supply them. We will be ubiquitous. We will make them think we are legion. We will be the biggest thorn in their side they have ever dealt with. We've been doing this a year. I am myself flabbergasted at what we've managed to accomplish in 1 year. But the only way we've been able to accomplish this is because I'm manic. She lets me be manic. And you all have supplied the funds for this. If you want to help us, here's my shameless plug. If you want to help us, here's where you can donate. There are things here you can take, not the books. I'll get you the books if you want them, but not these. You can take a button, you can take a magnet. And if you want a little free banned book library, contact us. If you want one here, we can make it happen. Let me know. I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Back there again, yes.
For questions.
I think we'll wait.
We are running a little bit late, and we appreciate all that you've had to share with us, Adam.